Sorry, I always forget to start recording. Please, someone remind me to start recording at the beginning of every section. I will repeat, I'm very pleased with all of the suggestions that I've read, all of the diagnostics that I've read so far. The main thing that I'm looking for this paper is that you have an argument. Are you arguing a position? Remember yesterday's class about thesis statements. Do you have a strong thesis statement, right? Is it arguable? That is what I'm looking for, and that's what you'll be assessed on. Okay, today we're going to talk about organizational components. So this is how your paper is actually structured, okay? I know a lot of you probably learn about the structures of papers, of writing an English paper in other contexts. I'm going to teach you the American academic way to structure your paper. The structure might also be dependent upon what your professor thinks, you know, and they'll probably provide you with a template. These are ways in which you can get your point across, make an argument. So I want you to be able to learn the structure. So in case you need to break out of the structure, that's okay, but at least you have the knowledge in your arsenal. So any paper should look something like this, okay? This is a graphical representation of what a paper looks like. It starts with an introduction, and then you have body paragraphs. Let me do my cursor. You have an introduction, and then you have body paragraphs, and then you have a conclusion, okay? Can anyone maybe venture a guess as to why this is a triangle? Why do you think this is a triangle? Maybe you can put on the chat or raise your hand. Why do you think your introduction looks like a triangle? Max from Ukraine, what do you think?
Well, in my personal opinion, it looks like the triangle about top down means that you start with the more wider topic and make it more narrow before coming to the main body. Over.
That is 100% correct. Yes, great job. Inam, did you add that?
I think my friends just explained the same, that you start with a broader thing and then you narrow it down. Then from thesis, that narrow down part, you start to build up argument, make it very wide, and then again you bring it to a very small point and then you conclude it. So that is how that you have to narrow it down and then explain it. Thank you.
Excellent. Yes, that is correct. So you want to start very general, okay? You don't want to start with your thesis at the very, very, very beginning. You want to lead into your thesis. As Blaise says, you want to cascade into it. You want to start with a broader topic and then narrow the topic down to your argument. That is correct. So in your introduction, you can have something like an explanation of the coronavirus pandemic, okay? What's happening? Give some sort of context, be broad. But again, like we talked about yesterday, you don't want to be too broad, okay? You don't want to talk about floods and you know, fires and you know, blah blah blah. You want to kind of focus in maybe on talking about COVID as a pandemic, okay? So again, talk very generally and then move to very specific. That is where your paper should be. Here we have an upside down triangle. What do you think the upside down triangle means? Yes, Max.
Well, I don't think I'm going to be original because it looks like a vice versa. So since you finish the main body with the main topic, you should spread it down just to, you know, demonstrate how it affects on the more wider topic. Over.
Absolutely. Okay. So you're doing the opposite in the conclusion where you are spreading it out to a more wider topic. You're presenting your topic to a wider audience and say, this is why this is important. Okay. What do you think little triangles in the body paragraphs mean? What are these little triangles for? Oka from Indonesia, what do you think triangles are?
Okay, my opinion is we make a variable from the thesis settlement with we break up to the some variables and we detail the each variable in the body paragraph.
Good. This is your explanation. This is your evidence, right? Anam, do you have something to add?
Yeah, and that's about the main body. Once we discuss in the main body, we take small pieces and then narrow down. Conclude every small component that we take, conclude it, and then go on to the other one. So we break it into small pieces, and then subsequently we go on to the conclusion.
Absolutely. Okay. So even within the body paragraphs, you still go from general to specific. So it's like you have these little triangles of thought where you have a topic sentence. Okay. So a topic sentence is maybe like a reason that supports your thesis. And then you have evidence to clarify it. Okay. So that's why it looks like a big triangle, little small triangles, and then an inverted triangle to connect it back. So that is really the organized that's how your paper should be organized. This is the organizational framework for your paper. Let's start with the introduction, okay? A lot of you understand the thesis statement, okay? So the thesis statement should be the last paragraph of your introduction paragraph. I'll repeat that. The thesis statement should be the last sentence of your introduction paragraph, okay? And then you have, at the very beginning, you have what's called a hook. Who can tell me what a hook is? What is a hook? Yes, Maxine.
A hook can be a detail or a citation, and it will bring the attention of the reader to enter in the essay. Over.
Yes, exactly. So remember yesterday I said that your thesis statement should be attractive, okay? Not too attractive, as Roberta said, right? But it should be attractive enough to where you can understand, okay, I'm interested in reading more, okay? Your hook is kind of also attracts your reader in, but it does so in a way that that kind of relates it back to current events, okay? So you don't want to start off your paper with, this paper will talk about the advantages of the military, right? That is not attractive. That's very robotic. You want to focus on something that will lead your reader in, okay? So maybe can someone give an example of, maybe you can read from your own paper, your own diagnostic. What is an example of a hook that you could use? Ahmed, yes.
In my paper, I start about disasters and how it's affect the economy, health, military as well, which lead how should the military interfere or not interfere, depend on your thesis and argument.
Great. Yes. Thank you. I read that in your paper. You talk about the pandemic, and I said, oh, this is relevant. This is very interesting. Okay. It leads me into your paper. It's the hook. Right. The hook is about, Gwendolyn's hook is about information about the pandemic. That's good. Okay. Lead in. What is a lead in? Can anyone guess what a lead is? Go ahead, Amin.
I think the lead in the transaction from the general idea to your thesis, how you connect both things together and give a good argument.
Yes, that's true. Max, I can't read Cyrillic, but yes, connection. It's your connection to your thesis, okay? Some of you think that this is a way for you to describe what happened, okay? So you're talking about the pandemic, right? That's your hook. And then you have a thesis statement. You have to figure out a way to connect your hook to your thesis statement, okay? So that's where your lead in comes handy. And I'll give you examples in the next slides. Okay, so here's some examples of a hook, okay? Let's have, Max, can you read number one? Number one, Max?
In America, everyone has the right to purchase a firearm.
Yes, great. Thank you, Max. Blaze, can you read number two? Number two, Blaze. Okay, Anton, can you read number 2? I'm not hearing Anton or Blaze. Fanis, can you read number 2?
Yes, only halfway through.
Yes.
Oh, shall I continue?
Only halfway. Okay, you can continue. Okay.
Okay. Only halfway through 2018, there has been 23 deadly school shootings, averaging one shooting per week with no end in sight.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, so Blaze, if you're on the line, Blaze, tell me which one is more interesting, 1 or 2?
Two is more interesting.
Okay, you say 2, Ahmed says 2. What does everyone else think?
I find two interesting because it has a bit of evidence in there. Whilst the first one is just like a fact.
The first one is just like a
Yeah, for somebody to produce some arguments. So I find two just like a fact, yeah.
Yes. Right. Okay. So some people say 2. Max, you say 1. Why do you say 1, Max?
I'm just trying to distress the audience, saying vote for 1 because the 1 was written by myself. Over.
Instigator. Instigator. Okay. Yes. Number 2 is the best. Okay. Number 2 is the best because it is more interesting. I'm sorry you had to read it, Max. Sorry you didn't read it, Max. But 2. Okay, it's more mathematically correct. That's true, Roberta. Okay. But it grabs your attention, right? It hooks you like a fish, right? If you see something floating in the water and you're a fish, you're like, oh, what's that? Okay. I'm more interested in reading more about number 2 than I am about number 1. Okay. Number 1 is just a general statement. Number 2 gives evidence. It's interesting. It's mathematically correct. Okay. Okay, so yes, I say number 2 is probably more interesting. Okay, so how do you create a hook? Okay, you could give an example. Okay, let's have Robertas from Lithuania read this out loud, please.
Always get the long ones. On February 14, 2018, a gunman entered Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, and murdered 17 people. While the shooting provided unprecedented demands for gun control, the Second Amendment still continues to hold sway over the American people.
Yes, and Robertas, I always give you the long ones because I challenge you, and also you're civilian. But anyway, so yeah, you can give an example. Okay, so for some of you, your hook could be, this virus has killed over, I don't know, actually, I haven't been watching the news, has killed over 300,000 or something people worldwide, right? That's something that is interesting, right? It's tragic, yes, right? It is, I'm like reading and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awful, but I want to read more, right? So if you give an example, that's a lot better than saying the coronavirus is a pandemic, right? That's not very interesting. I want to hear a little bit more. So you can use facts, use details, use statistics to create a hook. Okay, this is maybe a shorter one. Gwendolyn, can you read this one, please? Gwendolyn?
Yes. While the Second Amendment has entered the middle of the recent debate on gun control and mental health, the original rule was misguided and Congress is right to repeal it, argues Jeffrey Swanson, professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences.
Thank you. So you can give a quote. remember I said use your original thought, don't use outside sources. But at this point, if you want to use an outside source to create a hook, that is totally okay, okay? Because you're entering the conversation. This is where you can provide evidence of what other people have said, and then you can give a quote to make sure that it shows credibility to your reader, right? It makes me interested. I'm able to kind of understand what the current crisis is. You can quote from Dr. Fauci, you can quote from the World Health Organization for your paper. Having a quote really resonates and draws your reader in. So these are ways in which you can create a hook. Okay. The lead-in. Okay, I talked about the lead-in. Yes, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, you quoted from the World Health Organization. Yes, good job, okay? This shows that you're very knowledgeable about your paper. It adds credibility to you as a writer. Let's talk about the hook, or the lead-in, sorry. So once you have the hook, now you have to lead into your thesis statement. I say walk your reader through the thesis statement, okay? You don't want to assume that your reader is dumb, but you want to make sure that you properly explain things to your reader, so your reader will be like, oh, okay, I understand now why that's interesting. Some of you in your papers, you have coronavirus, pandemic, military, national defense strategy, right? And it's confusing because I'm not sure how it all relates together. You need to kind of lead in and provide connections or provide some sort of interesting information, give a good background, move your focus to your thesis. From your hook is point A, your thesis is point B, walk me from point A to point B. So, what ideas can we include to lead in from the hook to the thesis? Okay, if my hook was talking about the number of school shootings in 2018, and my thesis, remember from yesterday, was allowing stricter gun control upholds national security while safeguarding the freedom set forth by the founding fathers, what are some things I can put in my introduction paragraph in the middle of these two sentences?
Won't have it to settings.
Think, Ahmed.
Average.
I think if we said how we can solve this problem in the middle, to solve this kind of problem and promote some kind of solution, and after that, bringing the thesis.
Okay, so you want to talk about what you're going to talk about in your paper, your solutions, right? Because it's very different, right? How do you get from hook to thesis? Maxine.
And maybe you can deal with the Second Amendment and explain this. Over.
Yeah, explain the history of the Second Amendment, right? How are you going to have your thesis talk about the founding fathers if you're not going to explain the Second Amendment, right? Max, you put something on the chat. Can you want to explain?
Well, yeah, I just want to say in hook we gave a kind of a statistic. Thereafter, see this is saying that there is a trouble with the legislative approach of the gun holders. So probably the connection between those two could be kind of a portion of statistic that almost all shooters were those gun holders we're going to talk about.
Great job. Yes. Good work. Okay. So this is something that you could talk about. The shooters were gun holders. You know, this is very different, right? My hook doesn't really seem to match with my thesis because it looks like it is like anti and this looks like it's pro, right? So I would say, okay, if your hook and your thesis aren't matching, you might need to change either your hook or your thesis, right? So definitely something where you can have a connection in talking about to lead onto your thesis, because your thesis is the most important part of your paper. Okay, so let's do some, we did some mind mapping already. So when you are brainstorming your paper, when you are talking about, okay, what should I put in the middle? Some of you are just like writing, you start writing, and you're not really outlining, okay? So this is where I would recommend having an outline. I sent you an outline in your email, and so this will help you kind of focus your ideas a little bit, okay? So when you have a thesis, then you can talk about the different reasons that you have for your points. So for example, if I'm going to talk about the gun control in the United States, I would talk about the Second Amendment. That's what Max said, right? The history. What was it for the Second Amendment? What are the consequences of not curbing gun control? How far does that go? Should it be modified? What is the duty to protect citizens? What about the consequences? Do the consequences outweigh the right? Okay, so this could be something where you're thinking about your topic, which is the coronavirus pandemic in the military. Okay, so if we have the coronavirus, if we have the military, come in to help with the coronavirus, then what roles should the military serve? Okay, maybe some of you wrote this in your paper. What did you write? What roles could the military serve in the coronavirus pandemic? Some of you put, for example, the military could provide medical services. The military could provide engineering services. Raise your hand if you put something like that. You put something talking about what role the military could serve. Anam from Pakistan?
Yeah, military, it depends at what stage of COVID-19 we are in. It would vary from country to country, it would vary from region to region, and what is the trend of COVID at that particular.
Okay, good. So you would say your thesis is a little bit more nuanced, right? Where you say, okay, yes, I think the military should be have an active role, but there should be certain limits, right? And it depends really on how the coronavirus pandemic is doing. We really have to watch it. Let's hear from Ahmed. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the capability and most important thing we can use the military on, military has budget, they has equipment like plane, where they can go all over the world with the allies, sending some helping or bringing from there some equipment. When you have the civilian cannot do that because every border is closed. Open.
Great. So sending equipment, right? The civilians can't do that. Fennis wrote in the chat an additional supporting role, right? And so I said, a lot of you wrote about the supporting role, and I said, what is the supporting role? Should they be second to law enforcement? Why should they be second to law enforcement, right? These are things that you can be definitely writing in your mind map. Let's hear from Blaze. What did you put?
Yeah, what I put in my paper is the military can play a role in the COVID response in a number of areas. Taking an example from my own, a number the military can do. First of all, transport, because the military has got the capacity and the ability to provide transport to assist the civilian agencies, even the authorities, in transporting a number of things that are needed to be given to the civilian agencies. Apart from that, it's also beefing up the health workers, because of what a lot of health workers in the military that can assist the civilian agencies. Also, one of the trigger part is law enforcement part of it, because the police were overwhelmed in trying to
Okay, Blaze, I think you caught, I think we cut off, but I liked what you said about how secondary role. how the military can provide a secondary role to law enforcement, right? And I read a paper today about how the military can aid in the media, right? In affecting media so that people have more of a communication. I read in some of your papers how the military could patrol the streets and serve as law enforcement, right? So these are all the different reasons that you could be mind mapping, you could be brainstorming for your paper. Okay, let's take a small break. How about we take a 5-minute break? So come back at 11:39. Let's make 11:40. Let's hit 11:40. Come back at 11:40. Okay, I'll give 1 more minute for those of you who are still joining us. Okay, I will continue. They're doing construction outside my door, luckily, but that's okay. Let's talk about, that was a great introduction into what you should talk about in your paper and how can you expand your paper, okay? So let's focus in on our body paragraphs. So for our body paragraphs, each of the paragraphs should always start out with a topic sentence, okay? A topic sentence. What is a topic sentence? Can someone tell me what is a topic sentence? Go, Maxine.
I think it's the main idea of the paragraph. Over.
Yes, exactly. The main idea of a paragraph, okay? The main idea of a paragraph, but also a topic sentence should be something that is also arguable. Yes, Maranga, it is a subheading, right? So your topic sentence should relate back to your thesis, but it's also something that's arguable, okay? So for example, oh, Mohammed, you want to say something? Mohammed Muhaida, do you want to talk about?
Yes, ma'am, that every paragraph I think should include a topic sentence that identifies the main idea on the paragraph. Thank you.
Main idea of a paragraph, it could summarize the paragraph, and it's something that is arguable. So for example, for your diagnostic, your topic sentence could be something like, if your thesis is the military should play active role in curbing coronavirus, then my topic sentence could be something like, the military could use its medical resources in order to aid civilians. Or you could say something like, the military could use its strong, healthy armed service members in helping to combat coronavirus. Something like that. So it's something that I know, for example, in each paragraph, what we're going to talk about in that paragraph, because I can look at the first sentence. The first sentence is a summary, and it gives me a main idea, and it's also arguable. What is a supporting detail? Can somebody tell me what a supporting detail is? Ahmed, go for it.
I think supporting detail example, some numbers details or analyzing from other documents.
Good. Analyzing for other documents. Yes, statistics, Max. Okay, that would be a good supporting detail, right? Notice here the supporting details. Yes, evidence. Your evidence that supports your paper that will make you a credible writer, okay? I don't want just one detail. I want multiple details that show me that you understand the topic sentence. The more details that you have, the better. It provides information to clarify, prove, or explain the main idea. Great job, Mohammed, right? So that's what your supporting detail should be. Examples that support the main idea. And here we have the close of a paragraph. What should you put in the close of your paragraph? Can someone tell me? Should you end the paragraph by saying the end? No, you should say yes. Lead to the next, right? Maxine, did you want to contribute?
Yes, it's maybe a summarize of the paragraph and also an introduction for the second one. Over.
Absolutely. So it's your connection between the last paragraph to the next paragraph. I know that some of you, this is very tricky because some of you put, first I will talk about the military military using medical supplies. Next, I talk about the military using engineers. Thirdly, I'd like to talk about this. Actually, an American type of writing, we don't like that, Okay, we don't like the first, second, and third because it is too it's too simple. Okay, it's not sophisticated. We need to understand what you'll discuss and transition to the next paragraph. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so I would like to, you know, at the close of your paragraph, you kind of want to give a little bit of a hint to your next topic. So you could say like, you know, just as the military could serve a role in providing medical need, comma, the military could also provide another role in helping distribute supplies. Okay, so that way you're kind of connecting these into the sentence. This could be at the very end of your sentence, or sorry, your end of your paragraph, or it could be at the beginning of the next one. But you want to make sure there's a connection in between your paragraphs. Okay, so to talk about the topic sentence you already told me it's a main topic, okay? It introduces it, it's a summary. And some of you told me the supporting details is an example, it's a fact. It says personal experiences. I don't really like personal experiences, but you can put a personal experience, a definition, illustration, okay? So your paragraphs, remember when Dr. Luis on the first day said that your paper has to consist of multiple, your paragraph must consist of multiple sentences. And some of you were like, what? How am I going to write 5 or 6 or 7 sentences in one paragraph? Because you're going to have a lot of supporting details, okay? The more supporting details that you have, the better. And then you also want to have a linking, okay? So like a linking sentence to the next topic sentences, okay? And I cannot stress this enough, but your topic sentences must follow your thesis and it must be arguable. So for example, if your thesis is the military should serve a role in combating coronavirus, and then later your topic sentences says, actually, the military should just focus on national security. We shouldn't be involved, right? Then I, as your reader, will be so confused. I will say, what are you talking about? Your thesis talks about this, right? And then later on, you say that we should just focus on national security. Which one do you mean? So you want to be direct. You want to follow your thesis. You want to be consistent. You want to be arguable. Okay, so this is an exercise, okay? So which are the topic sentences, okay, and which are the supporting sentences? So let's go through each of them one by one. Can we have maybe Fanis from Greece read number 1?
Okay, the second amendment should be modified for the modern age.
Okay, type in the chat. What do you think? Is this a topic sentence or a supporting sentence? Okay. Yes. Yes. It's a topic sentence. Okay. Yes. Robertus, why is this a topic sentence?
Sort of obvious. I mean, it's a bold statement which needs to be explained.
Right, and it's more general than the rest of the statements, right? Roberta, since I have you on the line, can you read number 2?
People with free access to firearms can invoke violent threats.
Okay, type in the chat. Do you think this is a topic sentence or supporting sentence? Yes, it is a supporting sentence. Good one. Jelson, what do you think? Jelson, why is it a supporting sentence? Jelson, do you have it on the line? Why do you think this is a supporting sentence? Maybe he's reconnecting. How about, yeah, he's reconnecting. Okay. Fadi, why is this a supporting sentence? Oh, wait, Jelson, are you still there?
I'm back.
Yes, 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 yes. We can hear you. Oh no, he's reconnecting again. Okay, that's okay. Supporting sentence. Jasugo, why is this supporting sentence?
Okay. When we compare to that first one, it look a little bit like narrow, I think.
Yeah, it's too narrow, right? It's too narrow, right? Okay, Roberto, you said it could be both. Tell me why it could be both.
Depends on the subject. If you discuss sort of international policies and then you say, well, you provide one example and then you say that go to United States case and you can say, well, people with free access to firearms, meaning United States, can invoke violent threats. And then you provide a list of examples how it has happened. So depends on the context. I think I could very well develop this part in a certain context.
Yes, that's true. Max is being instigator again. Both is not an option. It depends, okay? It depends, right? So number 2, I think it's a supporting sentence because it's very specific. But as Roberta said, if he can provide instance with supporting detail after supporting detail after supporting detail, then that could maybe be a topic sentence for him, okay? So it depends. Number 3, Blaze, read number 3. Okay, we'll wait on Blaze. Colonel Marwanga from Kenya, can you read number 3?
Mental health should be a viable consideration in access to guns. I think that can be a topic sentence.
Good, it is a topic sentence. And why? Why?
It is it's an arguable sentence that so really it will require some supporting sentences. So for me, it looks more like a topic sentence, then I will require to have supporting sentences to support it.
Yes, mental health is another point that you're going to explain, right? You read that and you say, I need a little bit more explanation, right? Yeah, great job. Number 4, Maxine, can you read number 4?
Yes, it is very easy to buy a gun at Walmart. I think it's a supporting sentence because it's a detail. It's a fact.
Yes.
Over.
Yes. I think it's very hard to write one paragraph about buying a gun at Walmart, right? I think it's more of a supporting detail, like a very tiny detail. You can talk about maybe a broader issue, such as like the accessibility or availability of guns, right? So I think easy to buy a gun at Walmart, probably very small supporting detail. Number 5, Fadi, can you read number 5, please?
Yes, more gun control will deter crime, ensuring less mass shootings. Yes, it's a topic sentence because we can discuss that and we can write about it.
Okay, yes, topic sentence because you can write more about it. You have more supporting details, okay? So it kind of makes an argument again, right? Your topic sentence provides more of an argument. Number 6, can you read number 6? Gwendolyn, number 6.
High-capacity magazines should be banned because they too often turn murder into mass murder. Let me see.
Maybe some people.
Supporting sentence.
Oh, why? Yeah, why?
For me, No, I don't know if you can use it as evidence or if you can use it as to support another topic sentence, but I don't know. I really can't explain it.
This one could, I think this one is a little vague, right? This one's a little vague. Ahmed, you said in chat that it's supporting. Can you tell me why?
I think it's supporting because when you go and giving many examples, this is one example. This one kind of weapon, which make a crime more, not acceptable. And it is another example, not only the first topic sentence. Over.
Yeah, so it's a very small example, right? Okay. Yeah, okay. Jail sentence is a complete idea, so it's not arguable. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I can, you have to ask yourself the question, can I write a lot on this topic, right? I don't know. Maybe if it was more general, maybe it was like something like, you know, maybe instead of banning guns altogether, we could look at implementing restrictions on the purchase of certain firearms. Like that's a more general statement than this one. It's a little bit too specific, so that's why I think it's a supporting sentence. Okay, number 7. Let's do Inam from Pakistan. Number 7.
Yeah, number 7. It is an American duty to protect citizens.
Okay, what do you think? Chat, what do you think? Is this a topic sentence or supporting sentence?
It could be either, and I mean it is a generalized statement, and it is supporting sentence that it is the state duty to protect its citizens.
Okay, a lot of people think it's a topic sentence. Sagib, you said it's a topic sentence. Do you want to say why? Sagib, I heard you turn your mic, but I couldn't hear you. Yeah, it says reconnecting. Okay, so Jasugo, you said it was a topic sentence. Why?
Sentence because I think it can be discussed and also it needs to be supported by evidence for me.
Yes, I think you're correct. Yes, you're correct. Fadi, it's a topic sentence. I think you're correct. Right, and then maybe it could be a final sentence, right, Max? You could say it's an American duty. To protect citizens, it's an American duty, okay? Look at my small note. I have a small note. If you can't read it, that's okay. I'll read it to you. It says, in some cases, a supporting detail can be a topic sentence if it has enough substance. If it has enough substance, okay? So when you're revising your paper, go back and see if every sentence at the beginning of your paragraph is a topic sentence, okay? You want to make it general, you want to make it arguable, right? Does it follow along with your thesis? These are things in which you should look for your topic sentence. Also in your paper, go back and look at and see if you have supporting sentences. Do you have evidence? Do you have statistics? Do you have other sources that can help you? Okay, this is something that will help your paper. Okay, so by the end, you shouldn't have less than 3 pages because you should continually have more supporting sentences. Oh, and those are the answers. Okay, so let's talk about expanding, okay? A lot of my students, if you come from Asian countries, if you come from Middle Eastern countries, I've noticed this in the past, that I will comment something like, can you explain more? Can you provide more detail? In some of my comments to you that I sent to you last night, I probably said, hey, great paper, but can you explain more? Can you provide more detail? So so we're going to practice how to do that, okay? So let's practice how to expand your topic sentence. Expand your topic sentence. So if we take a topic sentence like the Second Amendment should be modified for the modern age, okay? That's my topic sentence. Then what are some supporting points that you can use? Maybe write on the chat. What are some supporting points that you can use for your topic sentence if your topic sentence was but more specifically, what are the reasons? Like if it's your first sentence, then what would your second, third, or fourth sentence be? Fadi, you have a question? Yeah. Some ideas are very obvious. Why expand on them? Because that's type of American writing, right? Some of you noticed when you did your strategic reading for Michael's class or for my class that when you are writing your paper, sometimes you are repeating yourself. Why do you have to repeat yourself so many times? Because that's an American type of writing, okay? Because you're kind of giving a little bit more indication, okay? Okay, let me look on the chat. So I asked you, what are the supporting points that you could use to expand on this, okay? Maxime says, because threats are not the same. True, okay, that would be a supporting detail. Roberta says, describe the modern age. Yes, that would be a supporting detail. Ahmed says the rate of crime, right? The rate of crime has increased, right? That will be a supporting detail. Which article in the Act? Oka, I'm not sure what you mean. Do you explain, Oka?
Okay, it need details about which act. I mean, which article in the in the act, in the regulation that we should amendment. So it need more further explanation.
Okay, giving a further explanation on the Second Amendment. Okay, so for example, the Second Amendment was written in a time in which Americans were fighting the British and we needed our own militias and like that would be a good supporting detail. That's correct. Okay. Fadi said, by repeating is stuck in your head. Yes, I know. Fadi, if you ever speak to an American, you'll notice this. They will repeat what they're saying over and over again. Maybe not the same words, but they'll repeat what they said over again, okay? Colonel Marwanga, the Second Amendment has since been overtaken by events such as technological advancements. That was good. That's actually, yeah, that is I would copy and paste that sentence right now. That's such a good sentence, right? It should be modified for the modern age. How? Because there's been so much technology that has come out since the Second Amendment, right? So that's good. Jasugo, you should talk about how it's modified, why it should be modified, right? Jelson says governmental institutions are consolidated and can provide safety for the people. Okay, yeah. And Jelson, I would say that is a topic sentence. That could be a good topic sentence rather than a supporting sentence. Okay, yes. Yes, Fadi, once you get into the repetition, it is, a lot of my students say it's very annoying, you know. The reading just repeats itself time and time again. I said, you know, that's just kind of the way that Americans love to write. Repeat yourself, but in other words. Right, so here's what I said, okay? Here's what I said as my supporting details, okay? I said, America is no longer a country of farmers who need to protect their land, okay? You're probably reading in your assignment for Michael about how when America first started, everyone was a farmer, okay? And so they needed to protect their land. but that's not the case anymore, okay? Because we have different institutions. The Second Amendment should be modified because the U.S. no longer needs to fight against the British, okay, or other intruders. So we're a stronger country. Fadi says it is very different from ours. Ours is brief and consistent and direct to the point. I know, yes. And don't forget, you know, my heritage is Chinese, and we're also very, you know, we kind of talk around the issue, right? So American writing is very different. I said another reason would be nowadays access to a gun is easier, okay? Because you go into Walmart and buy a gun, that would be a supporting point. Guns more resemble assault rifles and heavy artillery, okay? So like the guns back in 1776 was very different. You had to put powder in it, and you had to say, okay, hold on, sir, let me put powder in my gun. Okay, I'm ready to shoot, you know? Guns today are very different, And then also, there's so much access to magazines, bump stocks, sales of guns. These are all my supporting points for my topic sentence, okay? So you see how my topic sentence is very general, but my supporting points are very specific, okay? But they all support, you know, my topic sentence. So that would be something that you should put in your paper. And you should have no reason not to put 5 to 7 sentences, because here I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences already. Okay, so if my topic sentence was, it is an American duty to protect citizens, okay, what would be some supporting points that I could use? What would I write after this? Okay, maybe type in the chat. If I said my topic sentence was, it is an American duty to protect citizens, what are some supporting points that I could write? Anam, you have a Anam.
I think the supporting argument could be that it is a social contract between the state and the people, that the state has to protect its citizen. So, like any other state, so the state has the duty. State is a duty bound to protect its citizen. That could be one small argument.
Good. Yes. Okay. Good. Description how to protect citizens. Okay. This is a good practice for diagnostic. Taxes from the people could be used in protecting the citizens. This is a good exercise in your diagnostic, because I want you, when you're in your colleges, National War College, Eisenhower, CISA, CIC, I don't want you to say, okay, let me just send my paper to May and see what she thinks, right? You can definitely do that. But I think I want you to look at every sentence beforehand and say, okay, should I expand on this? What do I mean by this? Reread your paper and look at what could be a topic sentence and your supporting points. Jasugo, the institutions have the capacity to provide safety. Yes, remember what Jelson said earlier, the government is a bigger entity today than it was before, right? The government has an obligation to protect its people. Ahmed talks about border crime. Yeah, you could talk about border crime, right? These are something that is a supporting point you could use. Mohammed says law amendments, right? So you could amend the law. The law in the United States has been amended before. Max, I like the social contract. And Mom talked about the social contract between the government and its citizens. Okay, what is the social contract? Okay, so I said these are the reasons that I talked about, that schools are no longer safe, the idea of a militia has changed, should be less of a personal responsibility to protect, it should be more of a government responsibility. and gun ownership is relegated to military. I said gun ownership should be for the military, you know. Institutions' responsibility to provide protection. Yes, right? These are ways in which I can expand on my topic sentence. And hopefully in your paper, you can also expand on your point of view as well. People capitalize. What do you mean, Oka? People capitalize. People capitalize. Okay, I'll get back to you, Oka. Not sure what you mean here, but that's okay. We can move forward. Okay, if I were to say my topic sentence, it is very easy to buy a gun at Walmart, okay? And I said that was my topic sentence. What's wrong with that? I can't expand on it. There's no reason for how I can expand on it, right? You just go in and buy it. Voila, right? This is a very hard topic sentence. And I would say it's not a topic sentence. It's a supporting sentence, right? So go back in your paper and say, okay, which one is a topic sentence? Which one is a supporting sentence? How can I expand on these details, these facts? What are some facts that I can say about the coronavirus? What are some facts I can say about the deaths? What are some facts and statistics I can say about the military? What are some things I can say about the national defense strategy, right? Expand, expand, expand on your topic. It will make for a better paper. That's what I'm saying. Wait, what if you can't expand on a topic? What if it doesn't follow your thesis? Then you can choose a new topic from your mind map, okay? So this is when you're going through, you can write down all your different ideas. Some of you, after you write your paper, some of you are like, I changed my mind, right? Ahmed, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. We discussed before we should write our thesis at the beginning. And normally when I start with writing my thesis and after that I start with making the topic and evidence, always change my thesis again. Because of that, I think at the beginning, you can't write something initial idea of thesis. But at the end, 99% you will change it. Over.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Ahmed, gold star. You are revising. Yes, Marwanga, you get it. You're revising, you're rewriting your thesis, okay? And this is, you know, sometimes I'm writing a paper and I very direct, right? American style, and I say, okay, this is what should happen. We should do this, do this, do this. And then there's a voice in the back of my mind that's like, should we do this? I'm not sure. Should we? Right? And so then I'm constantly having to revise my thesis. Think of the counterpoints, right? Think of like what another person would say. Some of you, maybe when you were writing your paper, you said, yeah, definitely the military should get involved. Why not? The military, you joined the military because you want to serve and protect the people. Right now, there is a war going on, right? There's a war against this coronavirus. It's a global pandemic, right? So if you are a military officer, why wouldn't you go and fight against this war, right? And so you're writing, and then halfway through you're like, actually, is this a good idea? Let me think about it, because, you know, this would be very difficult for an armed service member to put themselves out on the line, right? There was an instance maybe like a couple months ago where a captain of a ship said, you know, he revealed, you know, he wrote this letter that talked about how their ship should dock because, you know, they were scared about getting coronavirus. And then actually 2 of the members, service members on the ship got coronavirus, right? So if you're saying, okay, if the military was involved then, like at the very beginning you said, yes, the military should be involved. The military should be involved, right? And then you said, well, I don't know. I think that the military should be involved, but then like I don't want military officers to be, to contract COVID, right? So that is when I would revise my thesis and say something like, the military should be involved, but there should be stipulations. The military should be involved, but there should be requirements, or the military should be involved, but civilian organizations or law enforcement should have jurisdiction, should have priority, okay? So that's okay. Like Ahmed said, it's definitely okay to keep revising your thesis statement. You can be direct, but be nuanced, right? You can be direct, but still say, okay, I see this point of view, but it doesn't have to be 100%. It could be 75%, right? That would still be a good argument. So maybe go back in your writing, and maybe you need to rewrite a new thesis, right? Roberta's, this one about Walmart may sound trivial for Americans, but it would work as an opening bombshell in Europe. Yes, I know. This was my topic from last year, and it creates such a wide conversation about gun usage, right? So you could use this as a hook. Remember from our beginning of our lecture, you could use this as a hook if you were in Lithuania, right? Yes. Good question. Good comment, Ahmed. I really said. Josen, go ahead, Josen.
I'm coming back to the paragraph. You said that we must explore around 6. You know that sometimes it's supported one, and the paragraph will be maybe a broader one, a larger. How many is supported, and how long or how large can be the paragraph?
Justin, can you say that again? I think I heard something about sentences and how long. Is that what you mean? How long?
Yes. How large the paragraph when you have some supporting details that you must well develop. It's not just one sentence, but a large sentence. And if you use 6 large sentences, support details, your paragraph will be a large one, which is the feeling to know how many to develop. Paragraph doesn't be a large one that is really, maybe it will be a bore for the reader.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. That really depends. Okay. That really depends. I think the more points that you have, the better. So even if you have a very large paragraph, that's okay. Maybe you can look at ways to split the paragraph, right? If you have a very large point, but maybe it's a little bit more nuanced, and you want to split the graph into 2. I will also give you a hint. I said that the introduction paragraph should be one. I said that your thesis should be at the end of your introduction paragraph, right? Did you know that your introduction paragraph can actually be 2 paragraphs? That's okay. That's okay to have 2 paragraphs for your introduction paragraph, because you're setting it up for your reader, right? You want to connect it better to your reader. Remember at the beginning of this lecture, I said, listen, I'm going to teach you the structure so that you know when to break the structure, okay? So when you are writing your paper and it seems like, you're following the triangle, you're putting supporting points, blah, 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 right? It's a good structure, but actually the best writers break the structure. but I want you to know it so that you can use it, you can rely on it, because this is something that's a marker of academic writing. But yeah, for some of you, you know, you had a hard time putting everything about coronavirus in your introduction paragraph. And I said, that's okay. Maybe you can have one paragraph about coronavirus and then another paragraph about the national defense strategy, right? And that can be 2 paragraphs for your introduction. That's okay, okay? That's okay. Because I know that you're explaining a lot in paper. Ahmed, do you have a question or a comment?
I have a question on the comment. I think, yes, in the long paper you can do that, but the problem now, where the thesis will be. If you have 2 introductions and 2 different idea, pandemic and strategic and the military interfere, it will be, I think, little bit complicated for the reader as well.
Yeah, it could be. It could be complicated for your reader. But don't forget that, you know, like the article that I had you read the first day about writing integrity and national security, you know, that was at the very, the thesis was at the very end of the 3rd or 4th paragraph, right? So it's okay. Your thesis should be strong enough to where I can read it and say, oh, okay, this is the thesis. It might be at the end of your 1st paragraph. It might be the end of your 2nd paragraph. That's okay. But it should not be at the very end of your paper, right? I should be able to understand at the very beginning where your thesis is. Right. So that's okay. If you have to break it into 2 paragraphs, put it at the end of your 2nd paragraph. If you can make it into 1 paragraph, put it at the end of your 1 paragraph. Because your introduction just introduces. It doesn't do anything else. It introduces the topic. Fanes, did you have a question? Fanes from Greece, did you have a question?
No, you cover me. I'm okay. That's why I put my hand down. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Max. Okay, so for your paragraph, don't forget you should have your main point, your topic sentences, your evidence, your analysis, okay? Not only should you have evidence, but you should also explain how the evidence supports the main point. So I don't want you to say, okay, we should help with coronavirus because 300,000 people have died. Okay, you're giving me evidence, but where's the analysis, right? Your analysis is your reasoning. You're kind of giving me more reasoning. This is where you put your own thoughts, your original thought into the analysis. And then, as some of you mentioned, the close is where you link it to the next paragraph. Look ahead to the next paragraph. Okay, let's talk about the end of your paper, okay? The end of your paper. Okay, the end of your paper, some of you have already said that you should restate the thesis. I don't mean that you should copy and paste it. I think that you should provide more of a restate in other words. Remember, this is why Fadi was very upset about this, about repeating yourself, right? So you should repeat your thesis, but don't use the same words. Use different words. Provide a comment, and then also a final statement, okay? And then Max said earlier about a final statement could be like Americans have a duty to protect its citizens. That would be an okay final statement. For me, I like it when a final statement is a little bit stronger, okay? A little bit stronger. So if my thesis was, oh yeah, go on, Max.
It was my consideration that if we are talking about the GAN issues and Second Amendment issues, so all that was stated before previously can be concluded like a, like a slogan that the American duty to protect civilians. So that's why I'm just put as a possible final statement over.
That is correct. Good, 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 good. Yeah. Some of you started out with a quote. You can end in another quote, right? Something that is good for your reader. So here is, if my thesis is it is necessary in today's modern society to exercise restrictions on the Second Amendment in order to protect the liberties of American citizens fought for by the Founding Fathers, what do you think would be a good final statement? How would you end this paper? Thank you, Ahmed. How would you end this paper? Maybe write on the chat. Write on the chat how you would end this paper. What would be like your final statement of your paper? It is necessary in today's modern society to exercise restrictions on the Second Amendment in order to protect the liberties of American citizens fought for by the Founding Fathers. Topic is pending. It needs more close attention. Max, what do you mean? You explain?
Well, if we share our point of view and trying to justify our position, we still have it as an arguable in the society. So we do have supporters and those who disagree. That's why we cancel, as soon as we are targeting mostly the opposite audience, in my personal opinion, we still need them to leave a way for justification for their own position. That's why we are not saying that it's 100% true, but it's a topic of discussion, and hopefully we will get the solution. Over.
Okay, good. Okay. Nelson says America will protect the people for the future. Okay. Indeed, there is need to revise the Second Amendment considering modern era developments without jeopardizing the liberties of American people. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Changing will be the benefit of everyone. Okay. Modern society will bring the consequence of people to consider security, to protect and be protected. Liberty is feeling free and not threatened by any kind of arms. Okay, excellent. Okay, good work. Lizzie, what do you mean? Feedback. Oh, mic feedback. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's okay. We're almost about to end here. Okay, so here is what I would think, okay? Tie it back to your introduction, okay? And then also have a final statement that will have a final statement that will be very strong, okay? Very strong statement. So, Maxime, can you read what's in red? Americans will?
Americans will have to determine what kind of society they would like to live in order to maintain their liberties. Restrictions to the Second Amendment may come at a cost, but for reassurance of security, they are worth it. Over.
Thank you. That's great. Okay, look to the future. Think about the future. Your final statement should look into the future. It's very hopeful, right? It's like you're watching like a Star Wars movie and you're like, oh, what's next? Right? It shows the trailer for the next movie. More direct. Okay, even more direct. Americans love directness, right? Because it's a long one. Roberta, can you read this, please?
Given the scope of the hazard of gun ownership in this country, the American public will have to decide if their constitutionally protected rights justify an unceasing onslaught of mass murders.
See how direct that was, right? Compared to the last one, very direct, right? Very emotional, very direct. Okay, so either one is okay. You can talk about this, you know, restrictions may come at a cost, but for the reassurance of security, they are worth it. Okay, you could say that, or you could say justify unceasing onslaught of mass murders, right? That's very direct. That's okay. That's a good thesis, or sorry.
Call for action.
Call to action. Yes, a call to action, right? Look to the future. Call to action, right? This is something that you could end on that would be good for your final paper. Okay. So this is my final slide. Okay, so for your homework, rewrite paper 1. Okay, I will be online if you want office hours. We can talk about your paper. Just send me a message or send me an email that says, hey, can we talk about the paper, my paper? And then I sent you an organization chart, an outline graph to help you organize your paper. Okay, so that will help you look at the topic sentence and the supporting sentence. Okay, that's it for me. Any questions before we team 1B meet with Lizzie? Any questions? Yes, Maxime.
I just have a point to clarify for the introduction. In the end of the introduction, you don't have to announce the. Firstly, I will deal with that. Secondly, you finish by the thesis. That's correct? Over.
Yes, you finish by the thesis. I don't like firstly, I don't like secondly. You can talk about what you would talk about in your paper, but don't use firstly, secondly. Any other questions? Max?
Just for clarification, we do not need to attach their own outline graph, am I right?
For this paper, if you need help organizing, then use it. I don't think okay, for me, this is me personally, I will not require it because I want you to focus on rewriting your paper, okay? So some of you have already turned into me, that's great, I can check it. But if I say to you, okay, this really needs organization, then I want you to use it. If I say, okay, organization is good, you don't need to use it, okay? Other questions? Okay, today you can go. I will see you at the main room tomorrow. NDU 6100 will be at the main room tomorrow, okay? Other than that, yes. Lizzie, actually, can you announce what's next on the schedule? Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye. See you.
For everyone who's still on, just a reminder that you're currently in the seminar room, and NDU 6049 will be in the main room, the room you were in this morning. Over.
Sorry about that. My mic was loading. So Team 1B, if you're still here, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know that it's been a long morning already. So just if you have any questions, I know that our huddle got cut short, but if you have any questions for me right now, go ahead and ask them. Anything administrative. Oh, go ahead, Fanis.
Good Good afternoon, everyone. I want to ask about the TOEFL test. There is going to be a briefing, something like that.
Yes, we will have a briefing with academic affairs, and they can tell you about that. Otherwise, May, I'm sure, would be happy to answer your questions. I can also get you in touch with Kelly Hart. She's the one that is facilitating the TOEFL across the campus.
Okay, okay, thank you.
No worries. And also, Fanny's, I don't think you were there when I announced that CAC appointments will be the 27th of July. So not the next Monday, but the one after that.
Ah, okay, 1 week after.
Yes. So
Okay.
you have, yeah, exactly. And it'll
At
be in
the
the
same
morning.
time? At the same time?
Yeah, we will all meet up and we'll go together.
Okay.
The only thing is well, I guess most importantly for you to know is the rest of those mornings that we will be free, so you can set up appointments if necessary.
Okay. Thank you.
And is anyone else? Oh, go ahead, Max.
Lizzie, I just sent you an email and wrote actually in that chat, so on you personally, so maybe you can read it. Actually, there is nothing serious, but you just look through over.
Sure thing. Let me see. Oh, okay, got it. Yep, you're good to go. Just yeah, so long as you're in ROM, we'll confirm at the end of the 2 weeks. Make sure that everything's okay. And oh, go ahead, Max.
No, excuse me, I didn't switch off the handover.
Okay. Okay. If there are any further questions. Anything for today? Would Muhidat? What do you mean by that?
Yes, Lazy. There's another program today at 13:30 or something like that, or finished for today.
Oh, right. Let me bring up the calendar for you real fast. So we have NDU 6049 at 1:30. So I'm gonna let you go and eat lunch right now. It'll be in the
Yeah,
main briefing room. Do you need the link?
I have it. Thank you. Main briefing room. I have. Thank you.
Wonderful. And then again, one more reminder, tomorrow we will not be meeting 15 minutes early. We will be meeting after 6100.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Have a great lunch, guys.